Have you ever laughed along with SpongeBob and thought you'd seen it all under the sea? That's the trick. For every light-hearted romp at the Krusty Krab, there's an unexpected twist lurking behind the show's usual silliness. Today, we're venturing into some of the most talked-about episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants. Stories that took a surprising turn, left viewers stunned, or stirred up rumors and controversies that never really died down. You'll discover how a simple children's cartoon occasionally nudged the line between quirky humor and outright darkness. And by the end, you might see SpongeBob's world a little differently. Let's dive in. Section 1. Sailor Mouth, the curse word controversy. It all started innocently enough. SpongeBob and Patrick wandering around town, spotting some mysterious graffiti on the dumpster behind the Krusty Krab. In their usual playful way, they tried sounding out the strange symbols. But, as viewers quickly found out, those symbols were an obvious stand-in for none-too-friendly language. From the moment it aired, Sailor Mouth set off a firestorm of discussion among fans and concerned parents alike. Why was everyone so riled up? On the surface, the episode was just a goofy premise. SpongeBob picks up a bad word, shares it with Patrick, and neither of them knows what they're actually saying. But there's a deeper layer. The show's portrayal of these censored words and the comedic bleep sound that replaced them sparked debates on whether or not SpongeBob was tiptoeing into adult territory. Some felt the episode was a hilarious commentary on how kids experiment with language they don't understand. Others found it borderline irresponsible to introduce any form of profanity, even if it was disguised as silly dolphin noises. Then came the famous scene where SpongeBob and Patrick practically spread this new vocabulary throughout Bikini Bottom, leaving poor Krusty Krab customers in shock. Mr. Krabs' furious reaction was equally memorable. He hammered home the moral lesson: cursing, even if you don't really mean to, can upset people and land you in big trouble. The over-the-top meltdown at the end, where Mr. Krabs himself accidentally blurts out the dreaded word, pushed the comedy to its peak. Despite the comedic approach, many viewers sensed the undercurrent. Sailor Mouth was one of the few times SpongeBob SquarePants openly tackled the idea of inappropriate language. Rumors swirled that some networks considered editing or pulling the episode for repeated re-airings, although it remained a fan favorite. Looking back, this episode set the stage for a pattern. Whenever SpongeBob tiptoed beyond its usual boundaries, it inevitably sparked controversy and conversation. If Sailor Mouth was a warning shot, it also proved that the creators were willing to push the envelope. And from here on out, things only get stranger. Section 2. Nasty Patty. When a prank turned deadly. If the thought of SpongeBob dabbling in swear words seemed risky, Nasty Patty took a plunge into darker territory. The premise sounds simple enough. SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs suspect a phony health inspector has arrived at the Krusty Krab. Rather than calmly investigating, they decide to teach this supposed conman a lesson. With comedic glee, Mr. Krabs orchestrates a disgusting prank, a revolting Krabby Patty containing all manner of foul ingredients, old gym socks, toenail clippings, and rancid sauce, to name a few. The plan is to scare off the inspector and keep the restaurant safe from scammers. Harmless, right? But things go sideways fast. Right after the inspector chokes on a fly, SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs jump to the conclusion that their deadly patty finished him off. Cue an unsettling montage of the two frantically trying to hide what they believe is a lifeless body. The eerie shift in the show's tone is immediate. These characters, typically so sweet and goofy, suddenly scramble to conceal evidence and evade the law. It's the kind of plot twist you'd expect in a dark comedy, not a children's show anchored by a happy-go-lucky sponge. Even creepier is the moment they load the inspector into a makeshift boat, preparing to dump him somewhere far away. Meanwhile, a rainstorm batters Bikini Bottom in the background, giving the entire scene an unexpectedly grim mood. Many parents raised eyebrows. Was it really okay for a cartoon to show beloved characters essentially covering up what they believed to be a crime? Fans, of course, loved the ridiculousness and rushed to dissect every detail. Could this episode have been a commentary on how easily panic can override common sense? Ultimately, the inspector wasn't actually gone. He just slipped unconscious for a bit, which led SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs to spiral into irrational terror. The last scenes switch abruptly back to comedic chaos. The real cops arrive, find the inspector half-dazed, and deduce a complicated misunderstanding. Even so, the comedic wrap-up never fully erases the macabre taste of seeing SpongeBob so rattled by guilt. Nasty Patty remains memorable because it forced the show into an uneasy moral space. Good intentions, or at least comedic ones, can pave the way for truly bad decisions. Section 3. One-Course Meal. Mr. Krabs and the Psychological Warfare. If you thought a fake murder cover-up was dark, get ready for a surprising twist in One-Course Meal. This episode still stirs controversy among fans, primarily for how it portrays Mr. Krabs tormenting Plankton. Ever the schemer, Mr. Krabs discovers Plankton's deepest fear, a giant whale, perfectly represented by Krabs' own daughter, Pearl. Determined to keep Plankton away from the Krabby Patty formula, Mr. Krabs goes to extraordinary lengths, dressing up as Pearl, hiding around corners, and popping out when Plankton least expects it. The result, Plankton transforms from wannabe mastermind into a trembling, paranoid wreck. Rumours swirled that the original script hinted at Plankton offed himself, or at least considered it, thanks to the emotional wreckage Mr. Krabs inflicted. While the episode never directly uses words like that, remember, SpongeBob often skirts around serious topics with jokes. It came uncomfortably close. Internet discussions exploded as fans argued over whether it was responsible to show psychological torment in a kids' show. Was this comedic farce, or had SpongeBob gone too far? The real tipping point is how Plankton's breakdown is depicted. He can't eat, can't sleep, and basically cowers in fear. Mr. Krabs, realizing that he's pushed Plankton to a breaking point, only shows a flicker of remorse after seeing how extreme the situation becomes. Meanwhile, SpongeBob tries to remain neutral, genuinely concerned for Plankton's well-being, even though he's not exactly pro-chum bucket. This episode left a lasting impression on the fan base. Some found it refreshing to see higher emotional stakes, believing it demonstrated just how cutthroat the Krabs versus Plankton rivalry can get. Others argue that it's too raw and mean-spirited for a show built on whimsical humour. Either way, One-Course Meal holds a unique place in SpongeBob lore. It stands as one of the few times we see full-scale psychological harassment, culminating in a mental breakdown that crosses the usual comedic boundaries. And as we'll see, this wouldn't be the last time a beloved character flirted with despair in Bikini Bottom. Section 4. Are you happy now? Squidward's Dark Depression. If you've watched SpongeBob for any length of time, you already know Squidward tends to mope around. He loathes his job, endless annoyances from SpongeBob and Patrick, and rarely seems truly content. But are you happy now? Push that outlook to a much bleaker extreme. In this episode, Squidward realizes he doesn't have a happiest memory, plunging him into a deep sadness that feels more adult than usual. Suddenly, it's not just about him being cranky, it's about questioning the meaning of his entire life. Soon enough, Squidward starts isolating himself at home. Scenes of him sobbing in bed or staring blankly at the walls hit way harder than any comedic meltdown. The rumour mill claims some parts of the episode were either edited or removed entirely because they depicted him in such a hopeless state. While official statements never confirmed exactly what was cut, fans recall the version that aired was already quite heavy. SpongeBob tries every trick in the book to cheer Squidward up, from comedic stunts to heartfelt gestures, but nothing seems to work. The emotional climax arrives when Squidward nearly snaps at SpongeBob, revealing how empty he feels. Even though this confrontation ends on a more hopeful note, the tension lingers. Viewers pick up on the fact that Squidward's sadness isn't just a quick gag. He's legitimately experiencing a crisis of purpose. Some critics praise the episode for addressing emotional well-being and mental health in a children's show, albeit through zany cartoon logic. Others believe it was too big a leap into depression, risking that younger audiences might not fully grasp its weight. Whatever side you land on, there's no denying Are You Happy Now stands as one of the bleakest explorations of personal despair in the show's history. It's an unsettling reminder that, beneath the bright colours and silly jokes, SpongeBob occasionally dives headlong into serious, even chilling territory. Section 6. Rock Bottom, a nightmare that hit too close to home after a lineup of unsettling storylines. Let's take a trip back to a classic that many still call one of SpongeBob's most quietly disturbing episodes, Rock Bottom. At first glance, it's just SpongeBob taking the wrong bus after a day at Glove World. However, the deeper you go into this episode, the more it feels like a surreal fever dream. Rock Bottom itself is dimly lit, inhabited by odd, sometimes intimidating fish that speak in bizarre raspberry-like sounds. SpongeBob can't communicate effectively, and every attempt to head back home leads him further into confusion and frustration. What makes Rock Bottom so haunting is the sense of isolation. Unlike the comedic terror we see in episodes like Nasty Patty, here SpongeBob is alone, vulnerable, and desperate for help. The bus schedule is cryptic, the station staff is unhelpful, and each passing bus seems to vanish the moment SpongeBob draws near. Fans often interpret this setting as an allegory for being lost in an unfamiliar place or facing an anxiety-ridden situation you can't quite control. Visually, the episode trades Bikini Bottom's bright blues and yellows for pitch-black skies and harsh fluorescent glows. Children and adults alike have reported feeling uneasy watching SpongeBob spiral into panic. It's not a typical kind of darkness, but the episode's sense of dread, loneliness, and claustrophobia can linger in your mind. The comedic moments are overshadowed by SpongeBob's frantic attempts to escape, culminating in that famous scene where he tries repeatedly to blow up a balloon so he can float to the bus stop, only to be thwarted again and again. Despite its relatively mild storyline, Rock Bottom remains a standout example of how SpongeBob occasionally dabbles in psychological discomfort. There's no gory splinter or explicit meltdown here, just a subtle dread that resonates with anyone who's ever felt out of place or overwhelmed. The episode is a testament to the show's ability to evoke strong emotional reactions, using nothing more than atmosphere, timing, and a dash of existential unease. It's classic SpongeBob with a dark twist, a perfect note to end on before we draw our conclusions. Conclusion: the unexpected depths of Bikini Bottom. If there's one takeaway from these unsettling, controversial, or downright shocking episodes, it's that SpongeBob SquarePants has always harbored hidden depths beneath its bubbly surface. 1 minute, you're giggling at a silly pun or enjoying a slapstick chase. The next, you're confronted with near-criminal cover-ups, psychological warfare, or a glimpse into a character's crippling despair. Over the years, these moments have fueled countless rumors, theories, and debates across the internet. People wonder if the writers are testing the show's limits, exploring heavier themes disguised as zany undersea escapades. What's certain is that these stories left a mark. Sailor Mouth brought taboo language to the forefront. Nasty Patty veered into almost criminal territory. One Course Meal unleashed cruelty and dread. Are You Happy Now dragged us into the chasm of depression. Demolition Doofus turned a trusted teacher into a vengeful maniac. The Splinter dialed up the body horror. Krabby Chronicle exposed the danger of media manipulation. And Rock Bottom achieved psychological horror without any overt violence at all. Every so often, SpongeBob reminds us that it isn't merely about an overly optimistic fry cook. It can be a mirror, reflecting fears, flaws, and real-life anxieties, whether that's the dread of being trapped in a strange place or the moral quandary of pushing someone to their breaking point. The next time you watch an episode, listen closely to the cracks in that cheerful veneer. You might catch the undercurrent of something much heavier. Which of these episodes left you the most unsettled? And are there other moments in SpongeBob's long run that still haunt you? Let me know your thoughts, and be sure to stay curious. After all, in a show as vast as the ocean floor, you never know what secrets might be lurking just off camera, waiting to surface when you least expect it.